stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're gonna get through all of this. We're just gonna something stolen. Select board agenda. Here it is. Well, let's see now. We did the pledge. We need a
Motion to sign the warrants.
Yes. Second. Second. All in favor? Let's get this out of the way. Approve the minutes of May 16th. We have to do
So moved.
Second. All in favor? So you had to do a public hearing minutes, what was that for? Which public hearing? No, I think somebody wasn't here, so.
Did you
We
post the
tabled
names on
the
that
approval
warrant?
names.
Vivian?
Why not?
Did you post the
So why is
names
it
on
on
that
there?
warrant?
Can I look at it? They're already approved.
No, I did not, but I like it.
I wanna make sure they're approved. Okay, so, I'm just reading that.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Is that the truth?
I don't know if you guys have the agenda, but we've already apparently approved the public hearing minutes of May 23rd. We haven't?
No.
Okay.
Let's do that now.
So do we have an approval for the public hearing, May 23rd?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? We haven't approved. Right, old business. Did you put the letter in here from the
This is already done.
Well, unfortunately, on Friday, we received a letter from the CDBG, and after careful review of the second process, 19 applications were submitted, 12 communities received an invitation to proceed to the developmental phase. We were not one of those. 1.778 million, so $1.8 million were requested, 700,000 was given out, to an average of about 50,000 per community. We had asked for 140,000. They were limited funds, and we've been getting many grants in the past, and unfortunately, I did call up and ask if it was the scoring or what was it that made us not be one of the top 12. We apparently came in just under that. It's 13th, so if anybody falls out of the development phase, we will be the next to be asked. So, and we've been encouraged to reapply. So, and I have spoken to all the applicants already. So that was disappointing, but
Yeah.
they have done a lot for us. We got 270,000 last year from them, and we appreciate all that CDBG has done for the community in the past. And we've already had a meeting with them about our sewer treatment plant, so we certainly need their help. Anyway, so that's that. Shellfish Warden Troy Tinker.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Troy Tinker, I'm Municipal Shellfish Warden. I come to you today, I would like to have my constable status reinstated, which would give me more authority as a shellfish warden. It would give me part-time law enforcement, and what it consists of is an online course, $250 fee, and a test and vessel borough. It would give me It would give me the authority to rest on that D&E crime, right? If somebody's, they don't sign at me, I can give a verbal conduct warning. If it persists, I can arrest them. If they fail to sign the warrant or the summons,
You
I
can
can
arrest.
arrest. I can arrest.
I think it's a
I think
fantastic idea.
I think it's.
So you just need, would this come in the next fiscal year?
I can also do, it will
Next
also,
fiscal year.
I can only work 20 hours a week, make sure, and all that, but it will also give me authority to enforce your parking ban or work traffic for the town. town or
Good.
anything
Yes,
that
good.
happened in the town.
It's already insured, it's already on our insurance.
Excellent. Yeah, so when do you want to start this?
When's the class?
We can even do anything, I gotta have a background check, which shouldn't be no problem,
Uh-huh.
right? And I would probably, go into law enforcement, I'd have to do some more law and charge or something.
Do you have to have fingerprints?
Okay.
That's good.
Do we have it in the budget to pay for it now? What did you say the course
I
cost?
think it's $250.
So we can do that now. And then we'll put the traveling and the testing on the next budget, because you probably won't be done
I'm taking
studying.
your car anyway.
Pardon me?
I'm taking your car anyway, you ain't give me a case.
Okay, I think it's a great idea. So we
Because-
will make a
Yes.
motion that we allow, that we're very glad to let
Yes,
Troy
yes,
study.
I
and
make
get
a
this-
motion that we happily give Troy the opportunity to take this class and become a
All in
constable.
favor?
Do we have to call you constable from now on? No.
No, they call me a lot, believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. That's your approval there. Now you just have to study.
80
hours.
hours.
Get out and it's,
80 hours in classroom.
80 of them is not classroom, it's not on.
Carl?
I thought it was.
Maybe I never.
We did, we met before.
Oh, wait, yes, we went to
I wasn't
Red Park.
dressed as nicely.
That's what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
You had your hiking gear on.
That's right.
I suppose. Okay, we're gonna close the select board meeting temporarily and open up the board of assessors meeting for this next presentation. We're discussing the land trust, exemption. Is that, acceptable to you, Jim?
That's right.
Okay, so,
All in
so,
favor?
what?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Yeah. People don't have to leave though, do they?
No, they,
No.
I think they're well interested.
Yeah.
So Carl,
Yes.
did you want to come up and give us a little,
Sure.
but kind of wanted to know specifically about that 158 acres that used to be, known as the, or
Oh,
still known as the
yeah.
pipelands. Those, that's really the only one we had a question marks, or
Okay.
that I had a question mark.
Sure. I can, there's not much, a whole lot to say about it. We offered to take over, pipelands from the Regional Medical Center. There was an old ropes course on it, it wasn't being used any longer, and, I think it was just too much of a burden for the medical center, the cost for the maintenance. So we said, you know, we're happy to take it over, we'll remove the liability of having the ropes course there, we'll clean it up, we'll keep it open to the public. And so we transferred it into our ownership about 1.5 years ago, I guess,
And that was what I wanted to know, what you bought it 1.5 years ago?
give or take.
And Down East Coastal Conservancy is the one that has the conservation easement
That's
held
correct.
on that property. I actually read all of the easement restrictions
Mhm.
today. And, a few questions, I know that the Pike, Radcliffe Pike was a arborist and a horticulturalist and had planted many different plants there.
That's right.
And there were supposed to be a parking lot for 6 cars
Mhm.
and hiking trails,
Correct.
and how are we getting, and I guess we were hoping you would be able to share with us how you were, this would help the town, because I think in the past, we really haven't utilized the beauty of that parcel, and for the select board to justify a $10,000 reduction, which is what it equates to in taxes, and that's not your fault, because it was.
It was already exempt.
It was exempted
Right.
years ago. But now that you're coming in with plans to continue the beauty of Lubec, we as selectmen, I believe, all get asked everywhere we go, kind of, well, what's happening with this land or that
Sure.
land, and so do you have any plans for that particular?
We don't have
property
any
yet?
really specific plans for that particular property yet. The main plans are just to clean it up and to make it safe for people to actually go and enjoy. There are trails that exist there already.
That's
There is a place where you can launch a kayak right now, and so we wanted to make it safe for the public to go out there, because the old ropes course was crumbling and falling apart.
So is that being taken down?
It's gone already.
Okay,
We've
good.
already taken it down.
And there's a parking lot, is it marked?
There is a parking lot that's marked, yep. fits 6 or 8 cars, something like that. We might do a little bit of cleanup with it. We
Mhm.
can't really do a whole lot because of the
No.
easement on it. So
Yeah, there's
it's
a
gotta
lot of
s-
restrictions.
Basically has to stay where it is. There's not a whole lot. we can
No,
do.
it says exactly where it has to be, right
Yep.
here.
That's exactly right.
One of the things that Radcliffe Pike did was plant specific trees.
Yep.
Nut trees and fruit trees to attract birds and bees and whatever. And so I would like to suggest that you would get someone who knows trees.
We have an arborist there.
Yes.
Brandon Buhner is our arborist.
Oh, good, I was gonna say Brandon
Yep.
Buhner would be a
Could
good,
they put like
Yes.
signs on the different trees?
And like-
Yes, we like to do
Yeah.
that actually. Yeah.
Really like that.
yeah,
Yes.
that would be an excellent draw for students who are doing
Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can definitely do that.
Yeah.
And so Brandon's already been out there. He's done some cleanup. He's
Wonderful.
done some pruning, particularly on the apple trees.
Yeah, he's
So hopefully-
very familiar with that property.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and he's actually the one who helped take down part of the road course.
Yeah, he was part of the.
Now,
Put it up.
Conservation easement did say that you could in fact build a structure that looked the same as if the barn is still even out there, that apparently there was a barn.
The barn is still out
That
there.
you could
It's in
build a structure
pretty bad disrepair.
for, it had to look similar to the barn, but not in disarray.
Mhm.
And it could have facilities
Mm-hmm.
and for educational purposes, and nothing there is for overnight, except there are 2 lean-tos
There
that
are.
you can have there, but, and you can spend overnight if it's part of the educational program.
Right, as
Correct.
part of a group educational program.
And they oversee, I don't know how much they did overseeing before, but you're in good communication with Down East Coastal Conservancy.
We are. As part of the transaction, we gave $200,000 to the Maine Community Foundation as an endowment for the maintenance of the property. So the DCC is responsible for the maintenance of both Pikelands East and West,
Mhm,
and that $200,000 endowment goes towards maintenance of both of those properties.
mhm.
So that's designated funds.
Yes.
To Maine Coastal.
Maine, yeah, the Maine
Maine
Community
Community
Foundation.
Has there been any thought or process to, it's been asked in a couple instances with some of the land, if there are facilities, restroom?
Yeah, we are gonna have, well, instead of doing flush toilets, because they're high maintenance,
Mhm.
what we do is porta potty units, and we put them into cedar enclosures, so they don't look like porta potties.
Oh, that's nice.
So we're gonna be putting at least 1 out there, maybe 2, depending on how much
What
use we
about
get
Red
there.
Point Park?
Red Point, we have the same thing. We're gonna have probably several out there, 'cause it's a much bigger property, so we'll have some towards the point, we're gonna have some in closer towards the parking lot.
So right now, before the town, the Board of Assessors, you have 3 applications for 3 properties, is
I
that
believe
it?
that's correct, yeah.
And all requesting 100% tax, well, I know the exempt one was already exempt, but the
Right.
other 2 were not, were on the tax rolls.
Right.
And I understand through another land trust person that depending on how much you do for the land depends on how much of a tax break you get. Is it just all or nothing, or is it 50%, or Mike, you have a question?
Actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt what you were saying, but, you are,
Carl Carlson,
and you represent,
I'm the Director of Conservation Infrastructure Projects for the Butler Conservation Fund.
oh, okay, I thought you were with Down East Coastal Conservancy. All right. Thank you for the introduction.
If you want.
So my question is, are you planning on requesting, although you gave me a lot to read, Jim, I did not get the application that said how much, I read all this, but I don't have in here the actual application.
They're in my office, they're just a list of acreage.
So how do we, by speaking with someone else who works with a different land trust, they don't always ask for a whole exemption. They ask for part,
Mhm.
like part of the taxes to be,
Accepted.
yes, so that was my question. And your application requested full exemption for these 3 properties?
That's my understanding, yeah.
No, excuse me. The application, one is for tree growth parcel,
That's right, yeah,
one is for an open space parcel,
correct.
and one is for a fully exempt parcel.
That's correct.
The difference between these is one is a tree growth classified land use program.
Yep.
The tax exempt parcel is predicated on you're establishing a corporation,
Mhm.
a 501c registered in Maine called Comscope Shores.
Correct. That is already existing, yeah.
Right, and this would be the parcel for the Lubec Medical Center that was
Correct.
transferred.
Yep.
My understanding is, a fully exempt, tax exempt property and registered to Copskirt Shores would be exempted under the charitable and benevolent
Okay.
statute.
Mhm.
And for a parcel to be exempt under that statute, that land would be for your sole use.
For the sole use of that organization,
Yes.
and not open to the public?
Didn't say that.
Okay.
In other words, the charitable and benevolent nature of that parcel is tied into the concept of the greater good, and you would provide access to the public
Mhm.
as essentially an extension of the local government.
Okay.
That is, you're gonna provide something in the way of services
Mhm.
to the citizens.
Yep.
That according to the Maine Supreme Court would otherwise have to be provided constitutionally.
Okay.
By the town. But the town can't provide it, therefore you are.
Right.
And that's a tax exempt property.
Okay.
And it has to be dedicated for your sole use. And your sole use might be creating an environment where folks can come and renew their spirit,
Mhm.
their body, and their mind.
Right.
In an R&R basically.
Well, in the easement,
Now-
it's very clear what they have to do. It's not, they can or not do what they have to. They have to open it to the public. It has to be open to
I
hunting.
didn't say that. I did say it is open to the public. I just said that. That's what it's for.
But it's,
That kind of use is your use.
Right.
And you're offering that to the public,
Correct.
okay, which, is great. The other parcels though are they have components of public use.
Mhm.
For example, open space.
Right.
You know, it's just there. If you make it available with a few rules, no campfires, day use.
Right.
But you can hunt in some cases.
Right.
And depending upon the uses that you allow, and you're not there monitoring those uses.
Right.
You just say, if you wanna go hunting, get a hunting license and go access the property, it's over there.
Right.
If you wanna go day hiking, hike in, hike out.
Right.
You're not there, promoting that, essentially,
Right.
day to day. So that's public use.
Yep.
And depending upon the level of restrictions that you do, provide or don't provide for access by the public, you get a prorated or a tiered, deduction.
Right.
Ordinary open space is good for 20% off. I can put my land in ordinary open space, get 20% off my tax bill. If I begin to put, or give additional access and privileges to the public, for example, forever wild, permanently protected, conservation easement, essentially no development at all.
Right.
That could drop the discount down to 5% of the normal 100% fair market value assessment.
Right.
So if I had a property that was at a fair market value of $1 million, I could get my tax bill lowered on a valuation as low as $50,000.
Right.
And that's a different program than charitable and benevolent.
Right.
Which is, again, tied into the constitutional mandated statement to provide for the general welfare, promote the general welfare.
Mhm.
That's, very high level coming down. So
Yeah.
anyways, sorry to take up so much time, but I thought it would clear that.
so have you reviewed those other two you're saying
I
that,
reviewed all the applications. I read
Yes.
every word.
okay, so the
And
open
they're all
space and the
fine.
tree growth, what did you determine? What percentage of the tax break did you determine was,
Huh?
reasonable? The whole 100%?
For tree growth,
No, yes, for the open space one, which is the Red Point Park, and the tree growth, which is, I forget which one the tree growth is.
Tree
One-
growth is,
It's Klondike on North Lubec Road.
So what did you determine? Like I said, we never saw the application, so I don't know what you suggested to. They have to be done by June first, correct?
yeah,
Okay, so what,
well,
is
at
it a
least
simple
one,
question?
the exempt one has to be signed in, per statute, main statute, by June first.
But the other two do not?
I don't know, I don't think so. You know.
Okay, so we don't have an answer to.
We could assume they should all be done by June first.
So Carl is
Get it
saying
over
for the
with.
Butler Foundation that they're requesting full tax exemption from two parcels that were on the tax rolls. And you're saying, and which I understand from other land trusts, that each box is checked, are you gonna do this, are you gonna do that? And as you check boxes, you lower and lower the taxes to the point of possibly just 5%. Is that what I heard you say? So what did you decide on the other?
I haven't done a full analysis.
Oh, you haven't done the full analysis.
I haven't done the full mathematic workup yet.
Oh, okay, so we don't have an answer to that. So we're really just discussing, like I thought, the plans.
Right.
I believe that if they stick to these 20 pages of restrictions, of which are many, and I know that they will, especially if we give it an endowment to the Community Heritage Foundation, we cannot, in all good conscience, deny that exemption for this parcel. Stephanie?
Well, I was just gonna comment because I've been on pipelines every single day for at least the last 4 months, sometimes twice a day, spending hours out there training my dog, walking the land. And I have seen, it's very underutilized. You wouldn't even know it was out there. I just happened to, hear about it, and I went out there. It's extremely rare if I'll ever see anybody out there. It's a wonderful piece of property. It's well cared for. I've seen a lot of locals getting work out there, trimming trees and keeping everything up. All the trees are labeled. Barn isn't terrible, and a couple of lean-tos, but it's a wonderful piece of property. Nobody knows about it.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem. I have a problem subsidizing taxes on that land, but I am utilizing it, partly because I want to utilize my tax dollars on that. But I would like to see, and nobody knows about it. It needs better promotion.
That was, the past owners, I guess, were too busy. Joanne, your feelings?
You all know my feelings.
Just wanted to give you a chance. Rachel?
Yeah, it would seem that you are eager to open it to the public, and not just open it, but to do something. Yeah, and that would make a difference to me. And people do know about that place out there. I mean, they've known about it for years and years and years. It's just not been used lately. I would say some kids used to go out there and neck. Yeah, it was like a little passion pit for a while. Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Bruce Wilson. For Jim, one of the criteria, I believe, in approving these reduction in the property values,
Now you're talking open space,
open space,
okay.
is that you have, the applicee has to show that they are not injuring the town in any way. Is that right?
Not in,
Injuring the town.
they don't have to show me that. I'm an assessor. They give me an application. There's main statutes that specify and declare what hoops and hurdles they have to go through, and that's not one of them.
Well, I guess my broad problem is that it's taking property that was originally assessed at a value when it was being, taxes were being paid on.
Yeah.
And now it's taking it away from the town, and we as the citizens have to make up the difference. So we're subsidizing these organizations.
That's true.
Well,
To the tune of $28,000, which you told me last, at the
For
last
the
meeting.
three properties put together, you're right.
Would you mind if I comment on that a little bit?
And they,
Would you mind if I comment on that a little
Yeah,
bit?
please.
go ahead.
So I think we recognize that, and we're not here to injure the town of Lubec at all. I mean, our point of being here is that we find that the natural beauty is really important to the value of the town. And in that regard, we have contributed money to the town for the improvements at the airport and also improvements for the safe harbor. So our goal is to find ways that we can give money back to the town and help with projects that the town needs, so that you're not losing as much money as you think you're losing.
I applaud your generosity in regard to looking at areas that you think appropriate to benefit the town with your money and other services you may provide. I really think that it's up to the citizens of the town as a whole to be able to determine that with their, and rather than just you as an individual think, oh, I like that project, I'm gonna go for it. For example, I'm not in favor of the safe harbors. I mean, and you say that you indicated that you would, so there's one right there that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Again, you can't deny that we have to make up the difference when another piece of property is taken off the tax roll, and I feel that's an injury.
Okay, I understand.
And now, my question is, are you part of the Butler?
Yes, I work for Mr. Butler.
Are there any properties that you have taken over and that you are paying taxes on?
We pay taxes on all of our properties that we own.
What's the general percentage?
100% of the taxes so far. This is the first time we've applied for any exemption here.
Yes.
So we paid 100% of our taxes.
They have acquired 12 properties. They have applied for
Yep.
exemption. Well, that's what we're talking about.
But not, yeah, it's only 3 right now, correct?
No, they have acquired 12 properties.
But their application.
They have acquired 12
Yeah.
properties, Carol. Please.
We are talking about.
They have bought 12 properties.
First of
They
all,
have
you're out
applied
of,
for
well,
3 to
pretty
be.
much out of order, because this discussion is on the pipeline right now, and on the exemption
She asked a
status that has to be
question.
signed by June 1st.
Carol,
And not about applications that haven't been reviewed by you or presented to the
he
Board of
asked a question.
Assessors.
This is just general knowledge from me.
I agree with you, I think it is an injury to the town, and if that is part of the, things that you have to prove that it doesn't injure the town, then the approval is, I read here in my papers you gave me today,
Yeah,
that the proof is on the person asking for the application, but we are not reviewing that application tonight, because you have not given us a
You
due
have not answered
diligence
that.
on the application. We
You
are
told me
discussing the exempt status of an existing property that used to be valued at $10,000 taxes, that is now under 20 pages of an easement that Downey Scofield Community Conservancy purchased in 2005 that we can do nothing about. It ran with the land, and when they purchased it in good faith, to abide by the, by Radcliffe Pike's will, then we have to honor that exemption tonight. And we will deal with each application as it comes up.
For this individual. One last question. In the event your organization should go defunct and everything that you've established here in the town of Lubec turns upside down, what happens to these properties?
We won't go defunct.
Never say that.
Well, not in this lifetime.
If you'd like, I'm happy to speak after the meeting to explain why we won't go defunct, but it's not gonna happen.
Stephanie?
I have a question. If you have money to give to the airport and different charities around, why don't you have the money to pay your taxes?
We do have the money to pay the taxes, which we have been paying. And the reason why we're doing this is because it's part of the Maine statute. It's the law in Maine. It's for us thinking about moving forward, how do we cover our expenses and what do we do that's financially prudent for our foundation? We're just following the state law. That's all we're trying to do.
And it's financially prudent to give to other entities here instead of paying the taxes? Or to excuse not paying taxes by giving to other entities to make it look better?
It's not about looking better. We are trying to help the town by providing money to these other entities.
It's the law, they're allowed to, so.
It's just state law.
I know.
Could I inject one?
Mike's had
Go right ahead.
Michael?
Oh, I thought you.
Well, no,
Well,
you were next.
it might seem very inappropriate, but if you're looking for other places to help the town, I want to introduce you to Lubec Landmarks.
I'll cut you off at that point.
Yes, Mike.
Carl, I think what you may not be assessing is that many years, people have brought attention to the fact that we're subsidizing a lot of open space.
Mhm.
You're the first group that's come in and actually, in lieu of taxes, been very generous to the town.
Yes.
And I know
Yes.
that you're holding back because there's several more areas where the Butler Foundation has helped. It always looks better if the help is upfront and forthright.
Sure.
And so I would feel more
Yes.
comfortable if you would share how your organization has offset in lieu of taxes. Now, having said that, you're making the rest of them look bad.
Yeah.
And they're reacting to it. So I'm just letting you know
Yeah.
that
No, I
they're
agree.
gonna want to know, geez, this group can help. And I've asked for certain things that I feel are important. When you make an overt invitation to have people come to the area and you give them a trail to hike, yes, it's nice to have a little facility building somewhere. I'm glad to hear your organization sees that. And I understand you're sensitive about safety. Your facility is new. It will get old. We've had other groups that have come in, done wonderful things for us. They gave us a boardwalk down through the heath here, and it's missing planks, and they're going to deteriorate. And that's why I thought you were with Down East Coastal. I was going to ask when that might be made safer for the public that's invited to use it. But I just wanted to give you a little up to speed on that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So, Troy?
Yeah, where is this located? It sounds like a nice place. I've been gone for 20
North
years.
Lubec
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lubec Road on the left.
No,
And
but-
on the right, actually.
And
Oh, yeah.
so certainly it's, they're doing what the state allows.
Oh, yeah, I
And
understand
at the
that.
same time, though, similar to the, you also mentioned that the basketball
Yep.
court, they are very nice things that he's doing, which you
Oh,
don't
I
have to do.
I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Are there going to be opportunities to, in these pipelines and trails, for local people to be hired to, as some service on that land?
That's one thing that we've been looking at is we think that we do need to have some people
Yeah.
who are local who can help maintain, just oversee a little bit.
Yes.
We haven't figured out exactly what that means
Yes.
yet.
Jobs, that would be good.
Yes, guys.
But you have used a lot of local help
Yes,
in preparing the land.
that's correct.
Marilyn?
There's a group of Sunday walkers, and we
Yes.
walk that property. We also walk across the street in the wintertime. We have our ice cleats. But it's on the Pike property that you're talking about with the barn. If you go to the end of that road, there's sweetgrass out there.
Oh,
And
is
if the tide's out, you wind up walking on a beach.
That's right. I've been out there, it's really beautiful.
Yes, it is. And I live just before.
Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the Sunday walk is,
Great.
we're called Pathfinders, and we're still looking for the.
I just have
I wanna
one last
say,
quick note, so that I can-
Actually,
Yes.
Jim
Quick.
has hand up first, and then.
oh, go ahead.
Last comment, and then Dan, and then we're closing the assessor meeting.
What do you estimate the yearly maintenance and upkeep costs for a 36-acre parcel will be?
I think that's gonna be in the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
Okay. And do you anticipate formulating other programs to express your charitable and benevolent use?
Well, we already have the outdoor education program that we just started last week.
Okay,
What lot
and
is
what
that
is
on?
that?
That, we started it actually in Whiting, but we plan to move it to our properties here in Lubec.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
My
Dan?
last question was, is there any opposition, do you know, by the Butler Foundation for us to at least attach links of sort on our town website?
No.
Showing the availability of those properties?
No opposition.
Do you have a website?
We do not yet.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We will though, but
When you get it.
So can
Yes.
we be the first to get the address?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Will you enable us to be able to copy and cut and paste certain portions
I'm
of your
sure,
website
yes.
onto ours?
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
You're
So I
welcome.
believe we'll have that decision June 1st for the exempt status. Something we can do about that. We're gonna close the Board of Assessors meeting, reopen the Select Board meeting, and we'll see where we were in the agenda. I see you back down there, Artie, hiding in the back there. You just got here today?
Yep.
South Street near
South
School Road closed. Okay, so I guess South Street near the school road closed for through traffic June 6th from 11 to 1:15, end of the school year celebration. And of course, Public Works knows about that, right? Sewer abatement and request
motion for that,
to close, yeah.
Motion to close, South Street near the school
Second.
on June 6th.
All in favor? Sewer abatement and request for waiver,
yeah.
do we have that somewhere?
It's not gonna be an abatement that is none needed, but,
So
if
just
you
an
look at it
approval
in
for
your
waivers.
packet, yeah, there's some legal services,
Townsend Lane.
responses. There's a property on Townsend Lane. It's behind other houses. It has not been getting a sewer bill. I was looking into whether it should be or not, and basically, the highlighted part of the lawyer's response is, additionally, if the property in question has not historically received a minimum service charge, trying now to apply a charge would be inconsistent with past practice where the ordinance is not clear about the application of the charge.
So the
In other
motion would
words,
be to
it's easier
waive the,
Forget it and
Right.
move on.
Yeah.
Because our ordinance is a little vague.
Yeah.
It's either change the ordinance or whatever, so I just want it written that you're gonna waive.
so you need a motion to
Yeah.
waive it.
And which happened when it first put in, right, when the sewer was
Yeah.
first put in, they
Right.
thought it was too complicated to give her the sewer.
Yeah.
And
Well, she
now,
couldn't get, that particular property couldn't get an easement from them.
yes,
Next
so
door.
Right.
the town needs to leave it as is, so we have a motion to keep
I
the
move that we, give this woman a waiver.
second,
Second.
all in favor? June 5th training, active shooter, do we wanna send Renee to an active shooter training June 5th? I do, anybody else? I make a motion, we
Does
send.
Renee want to go to an act?
Yeah, she has to go.
Shooter?
Oh.
I'll go.
Alright, so Julie Bradley, she's at the Regional Medical Center, she attends this training and she told me it's something I really need to go to, the emergency management director side with all these, heaven forbid it never happens here,
Yes.
but
We feel very confident that would be good for you, and I feel safe
I'm
already.
going on her word that I should attend it.
So, I make a motion that we allow Renee to attend the active shooter training June 5th. Second? All in favor? I skipped wastewater treatment plant upgrade update. Renee, did you want to do that?
But you did.
What was I gonna say?
We've been in much contact with Oliver, and this is just to prepare everybody. The consensus is our sewer rates are extremely low compared to those around the state. I included the addition in your packet. Mr. Oliver, did supply me with all the, I think this is all the towns in Maine that have sewer, plants. And if you look, ours is extremely low, but it's not gonna happen right now, but just kind of coming down the line. The upgrades that we're looking at, and not just that, the upgrades that were around the 5 million mark is just the plant and the pump stations. That does not include any of the infrastructure, which Bruce showed me this week. The DEP is on us to televise, not meaning broadcast on Quaddy TV, but they have to record all of the infrastructure that goes to the plants. Meaning they have to put cameras down in the manholes and get a picture of all the pipes that go to the wastewater treatment plant. And for half of the system to be done is $40,000, $39,000 for that half of it. The debt service, the rates, it's never been done.
But when he prepared his report, how did he have all those pictures in the report?
I don't know.
Pictures of,
He just had.
oh, you didn't go
So
down,
let's
no.
say, you're saying there's a regulation that's gonna cost us $40,000 to get one?
Not the
Cameras?
taxpayers so much, but the users. The users and operation fee is in the fee that everybody pays for their wastewater
And
treatment.
how often does this have to be done, the little pictures?
That's to be determined by the DEP. It's not mandated yet, so it's a matter of do we
So
do
this is
this? Yeah, and this wouldn't be out of taxpayer, this would be out of the sewer budget, which is not taxpayer. The sewer budget is built by the user fees. There is some money in undesignated, so that's a consideration. But anyway, I'm just kind of preparing you, this is what we're looking at now.
Well, the other thing I thought we were gonna talk about is we had a meeting with CDBG and the Department of, what was it?
Rural
Development Grant. And the tag on the sewer upgrade, because it's living 6 years over its time, it was supposed to be 20 years, it's 26. So they have it capped at 4.5 million. Rural development has extra money right now, but their grant is 50/50, so which means, let's say, the most you can get from CDBG is
A million.
990,000. They try to stay under a million, so just call it $1 million. And the other 3.5 million, they would give you half would be grant and the other half would be a loan. And they're projecting that by the time we go into this construction phase of fixing up the sewer, which will be about 2 years at the earliest, that it will be more like 5 million because of costs. So that would be 2 million loan, 2 million grant, and 1 million from CDBG. And here's the reason why we're bringing up the user fees. The requirements to receive any other further grants, like from the DEP, you can get another $1 million possibly from them, but they won't even look at your application unless the user fees are over 2% of the average income in the municipality. And our average income is $32,000. That means we would be having to pay more than $620 per year to qualify for another grant. And which is alarming to me because that's double what we pay now. So do we want
Right
to qualify and
now,
pay all that more?
It's 295, that's what you're paying.
So it's more than double to even qualify for a grant. So then we're really looking at the only available funding is $1 million from CDBG, 2 million and 2 million of a loan. And the loan, I said, okay, so at the interest rates for today, what would that cost the taxpayer over 30 years of borrowing that loan from the rural development? And it's $98,000 a year
And we're paying 25.
for 30 years, which equates to about, would 1,000 bills go out as
No,
taxpayers?
taxpayers?
We have about 1,400, so you're looking at about $75 more per year. That's the debt service, not the user fee. So we would have to consider how, as a town, not me, I'm just information here, as a town to go forward, where we can best, I mean, we obviously have to fix the sewer system. And
I
it's
have
a dilemma
I have a
for a rural
thought, but
community.
he's still in the room, so.
Oh, well, this was not for you, didn't even know you were here. This is just something we're going through, Mike.
Well, after Olber did their presentation and they handed out the short report, which listed all of the cost centers by line of what they had assessed would be needed to be replaced, there was some strange abnormalities of a set of commercial double doors for $20,000. That seems a little high. There was a generator for an incredible amount of money. I think that if a sharp person went through that number thing, it's not going to add up. I don't know how much you'd save. You may shave $500,000 off of it, but
I agree, absolutely. And then it's
so-
the same thing, it goes out to bid like anything else, and we can accept or reject any bids, and we need to get, someone who's willing to understand
you're-
down East Maine,
and
that
now
we
you're
can't afford
presenting-
$20,000 double doors. I agree with you there.
right. And so, but now you're suggesting that we get out of this by rate increase
No.
so that we can go after more money?
No, I'm just saying that, I'm just informing you
Yep.
that there are no other alternatives that we can see in the short run that would allow us to get another grant. And no, I'm not suggesting for a minute that we raise the fees to that amount of money, and I don't think it would even look right to qualify for a grant. I think we'd have to have a reason to raise the Renee brought up a totally different subject that I was unaware of. I thought we were gonna talk about the whole $4.5 million, but apparently this is something else that needs to be done. So
That might be in our budget though, we might be already able to pay for that.
it's just informational. It's the very first meeting, but they are working on it already. Over.
Quickie, Jim Carmen oversees with his license this facility down there, right?
Not anymore.
He participates somewhat, but Bruce Green is a fully licensed operator.
We have our own now.
Well, Jim Carmen we've had operators down there that never were able to
Right. No,
get a certificate, because it's not an easy
Bruce
task to
did.
do.
He does.
And Jim always was, and I think Jim has used that knowledge that he has in his certificates to represent other communities. I'd be awful tempted to think that he might be a good reference in regard to, as Mike just alluded to, and the prices in the back of that report are just unbelievable. I spent 6 or 7 hours messing around on the internet. $10,000 for 48 gallon a minute pump. They want $10,000. You can buy them all day for $38,000 to $4,000. And another thought on that is, why do we replace all of them? Pumps that are working work fine. Have a couple sitting on the floor to replace and they
We
get to
do.
need them.
We already
They
do.
really don't wear out. And I
We
have
already have
questions with regard to some of the stuff that they were spending money on. It sounded to me like everything had to be replaced except for the bricks around the doors.
Well, when he was here, I don't know if you were here that night, he said that we were in very good shape. I mean, there were, that we had not used, that, he agreed with that, but he said, going forward, you might want to get a step ahead so that you don't have a crisis.
Because it'll take 2 to 3 years to
Yeah.
get the funding
And things
together.
done spectacularly over 26 years. Very little money is spent.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Any more questions on treatment plan? So on a happier note, we finally have a contract for the select board to sign for, with Maine Coast Heritage Trust and Land for Maine's Future is helping us purchase the land behind the red house there for our safe harbor project.
Perfect.
And which is costing no more than $2,000 for the town. So they're asking for us to sign it now, which is a great,
Gladly.
do we have a motion?
I move that we sign that immediately.
Second, all in favor?
this is a contract.
This is the contract between the state,
No.
Land for Maine's Future, and it's similar than what, Butler Foundation has had to sign. It has some restrictions that you can't take away the clamming or any of the the normal main uses of public lands, and it's open to the public. And it's the property right by the Lubec Historic Society. It's all the land behind that red house. So it's gonna take a long time to put it together. But we couldn't even apply for grants without owning the land.
And it has huge implications for the fishermen.
Well, we lose a lot of fishermen.
Yes.
Thank you.
I heard somebody did a great painting job recently at a town facility.
Oh, yeah.
What
That'd
happened?
be,
Kenny,
the next
I
item.
did this.
well, no. Kenny did paint the
Yes, but it's,
storage trailer.
Recycling,
This is,
recycling storage. Recycling, Rachel, your
Oh.
bullet point.
I don't know which one to report. The storage, the Shaw's truck.
No,
Acquisition.
the acquisition that you wanted.
Oh, yes. Well, we have a railroad car down there that was gladly sold to us for $1 from Marshall Rust.
I'm
And
gonna stop you there.
what,
It wasn't sold to us. You have to have a town meeting to accept that.
So
Only
we
for
we didn't accept it.
You can't give it
okay.
or sell it.
Oh, I thought it was.
Remember when Brent gave us the stage, we had to have a town
Yeah.
vote on
It
it.
was my understanding if money were passed, we didn't have to have a town meeting. Okay, so we now have a railroad car down at.
We don't have it, but it's to be given to us if the
To
town
be given
wants
to
it.
us, yes, if the town wants it.
Right.
It went through my mind when the gentleman from Butler was talking, that they might find some use for it at the pipelines perhaps, a two-roller or something. Something to think about.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Anyway, so it's on Mr. Frost's property, and Mr. Legree is using it for storage currently. And Mr. Rust has asked him to remove his debris, but I think Charles is chomping at the bit, as it were. So the real question here is, do we want this storage?
Well, we got the Shaw's truck, so I
Yeah.
don't see that we need it now. Yes, any takers of the railroad car for $1? Well,
Yeah.
$2? No?
2 cents a pound at the junkyard.
Michael had a suggestion we make a concession stand at Stockford Park. but,
Or a stage area.
Or a stage area. My other thought was, since the recycled paper or glass or whatever, the prices go up and down, sometimes they're nothing, that we might want to use it as extra storage.
I think we just got the truck for extra storage.
Well, it's filling up pretty fast.
I think I personally would like to take a vote on it.
Yeah.
Do we have to go to a whole town meeting for a vote?
No,
Can
it
we
starts at
decide?
this level.
The select board
The
can
public,
decide.
if the public wants it, they can have a petition and get it on an article at town meeting, but it starts here at the select board.
Yes.
Joanne, would you like the railroad car?
No, dear.
How about down at the campground?
Down at the campground, it's fine.
They're all going.
No, I pay very high taxes and I don't need railroad.
Is there choo-choo train?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's.
Our Chamber of Commerce? Do you wanna have a,
Not all that, no.
No,
do we need a facility for the Chamber of Commerce?
I would have to
No, you
review
don't
it.
wanna be in this train?
No, I don't think
Just-
so.
Just remember, more property owned needs more maintenance.
Do you want the railroad car?
No.
That's gonna need a lot of WD-40.
Well, who would like to make a motion that, on the railroad car? I need some sort of motion. Dan, vice chair, a vote on yea or nay, so you have to make a motion.
At this point, I make a motion that I represent the town, deem it not necessary to have a train facility for storage.
So I have a second,
I second.
all in favor? What?
Well, I named it. Huh?
Well, you have to vote
Oh,
for
okay.
it.
Well, sure.
Train car.
Okay,
Train,
let
travel,
Renee, would you
car.
let Mr. Ross know that?
Yes.
basketball court lighting, now this is something that Carl and Artie might think
Do you want
about.
trees on former town
Trees on-
garage?
yeah.
What?
Trees on former town garage.
Oh, trees in former town garage, what about them?
You're wrong.
Exhibit.
Exhibit A.
Toy Case was in and they are putting solar panels along the gray apartments, and their engineer has said some of the trees that are along our property are gonna be in the way, and he asked permission to limb them to make it so that they can,
Prune them.
right, so that it won't block the solar panels. I'll bring it to you all.
Sounds like fun.
Does Troy Case know about pruning trees? I don't mean to
I'm
be,
not sure.
but he might incorporate Brandon Univer. who
At
is
their expense, right?
Right, yep.
At their expense, I think, yes.
I mean,
Make a
I watched
motion.
the trees along the county road and how they prune those things, and
It's just awful.
it's laughable,
I need
so.
to update something else.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we allow the Gray Apartments to prune the trees obstructing the solar panels at their expense. Second, all in favor? Moving right along.
You don't like when they cut big U's out of trees?
All right, it has come to our attention that many citizens in the town of Lubec would like basketball court lighting with, covered with what do you call it? Great, something in front of the light so they don't get broken. And I think it's a good idea, so we're thinking, how could we fund this? One
Are
of
we
my
talking about the
basketball court.
Tracy's Hotel, talking on,
No, we're not
Yes, but-
talking about that, well, that's.
I thought we were doing after
I
that.
think it's another thing for the Butler Foundation.
This is it.
This
Well,
is-
I have an idea that the town maybe would like to partner with a land trust and then, do as matching funds so that the people who have, voiced their wanting to help can help, and even if it's in kind, to help, like with backhoes or digging the holes. It seems like if the towns don't participate in some way, I mean, they're just being left out. You can't just like ask for everything. I think we have to have some things that we can do a little bit of. So part money given, part money maybe from the town,
Yeah.
or, and then
I
part.
was being facetious.
Oh.
I wasn't serious about that.
Okay, well, I was kind of like thinking we could partner with them and come up with some, well, first of all, let's say that lights cost $5,000.
What would it cost?
And let's say we partnered with, a land trust who was willing to do maybe 1,500, town puts in 1,500, and the rest of the town does either in-kind work or does a little fundraiser, because I think it would be good for the
That's why
kids
you
to
need
do a
an article.
fundraiser.
Put it on an article at the town meeting.
Something where everybody involved.
Aren't there light poles there?
I
Yes.
went down today and looked.
What would it
There
take
is
to put
one,
a light
and
on
it's
top
not-
of a light pole?
It's not near the court. There's a light pole there, but
Might need to be
it's
wired,
probably
and it has to be on a
20 feet
timer.
back from the
Can't
court.
stay open all
Could
There's
day.
only one.
Yeah, just a minute, I was on that Facebook conversation back and forth with Tracy and just about everybody else in town. And I brought up this topic of solar powered streetlights because I feel that it would be, although it's an initial expense, in the long run, it's not gonna cost this town anything. And so John Stentz very carefully suggested this place called Superior Lighting. And he said about $900 to purchase these would pretty much cover the basketball court. So I would prefer that we explored something like this, because in the long run, it's going to not be,
I think it's a good idea,
Yeah.
but solar lights also have little solar panels on them, and we're concerned that the basketballs and other various items of destruction might ruin the lights.
well, I think
So
we have to
therefore,
be
if
careful
solar
about
lights are vulnerable to
all
attack,
that.
well, not if they're put a mesh on it in basketball, or you just put a little mesh thing
I
on
still
there.
suggest this goes to town meeting, because we have not
Well,
budgeted for
we're,
this
we're,
in any way.
we can't go to
I think
town
Mike
meeting
got
without
out
a
of his
select
face
board,
like that.
right, putting
That's
it
so
on an article, right?
I wanted to know if the technology was available to have a motion sensor lighting system down there. Because otherwise, then this thing is on all the time.
I agree, there needs to be something that's
I'm not saying it's a good idea, I just want
He's
to
the
know.
best dog.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. You might wanna take a look at these.
yes, I
Yes.
think that's interesting.
Renee, I was stuck.
Or maybe they're putting a cage around these, that's what it needs, a cage.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter the light, it just needs to have a cage around it,
Right.
like they put in, you
Yeah.
know, the regular arenas.
Well, we were investigating it, a couple of us in the school board, and about the cost of the electricity going in. Apparently, the electricity cost was going to the school. And long after the lights were gone, we were still getting charged. And we found this back charge of hundreds and hundreds of dollars that we had to get refunded. It had gone years back, even though there was no lights, they were still charging it. And it went on to the school budget. So is that property gonna be the schools to maintain?
It's owned by the town, I believe.
Okay, so the town would be picking up that electric.
It's a school property.
Yeah, we, the school.
I'm assuming that was the cost of the pole.
One thing I think we wanna take into consideration as well is lights are great. I agree.
Yeah, there was no lights.
That's a nice
There was
thing.
no lights, and we just got charged usage.
Sometimes things like this can turn into boom boxes, it was mentioned this morning, boom boxes and party time into late hours. Because you got an outside venue to have a good time. Town wants to take into consideration there regard to how this is gonna be leased and what type of usage hours will be available. And what the usage is.
Well, we
Well, and
just
we can
saying-
always cut the electricity off if it doesn't work.
Yeah, we also, yeah, because this is dimmable, or, you know, you can control it. We have a similar rule for Stockford Park. So, the issue here in town is who's going to police it? And that goes for everything.
Our new constable.
That's it, he's gone.
I just want to say one more thing. I really like the idea of the community getting together
I think it's
and
important.
contributing there, because then they have more invested in it.
I agree.
It keeps it safer, it makes you proud of
It's
yourself.
ownership.
It's ownership,
Yes.
exactly.
I think
I like
lights-
that idea.
Lights need to be on a timer, so we were hoping that, we could get it in our budget to contribute something, maybe like, we can get a contribution from, maybe if the town contributes, well, first we need to know how much it's gonna cost.
I did contact an electrician today, he's gonna look at it and get us an estimate of.
So we're gonna table until the next meeting, and even if we don't decide, the select board has to decide if it becomes an article for town meeting. other than a petition, the select board is the only governing body that can actually propose an article for town vote. So I think we should get our ducks in a row, see how much it's gonna cost, put it in as an article, maybe we'll discuss it with some benevolent people and see how we can get it all put together.
I hate to be a naysayer.
What
Devil's
is it?
advocate, that's what, devil's advocate.
What is it? There she, look
Well,
at her
no, I
expression
mean,
on her face.
it's the summer, and I'm not against the kids. I always have 5 or 6 at my house every day. It's summertime.
Mhm.
The sun is staying up higher and higher every day. I mean, do you want
Until
past
it's
9 o'clock at night?
No, I agree with you.
I mean, what, you know, if
I
you,
mean,
it's
there are
like
people
Doug
that-
said,
Yeah.
you know, do you want them up there, 10, 11 o'clock at night? What do you know?
maybe the
I'll
sun
be
is
opening
enough.
up a can of worms doing that.
I think you work around it. I mean, I would say that Tracy's hotel brought it up out of.
I think 9 o'clock is fine, and that's
Yeah.
when the sun
But
goes down.
again, you know something, in September and October, when the weather's still nice and they have nothing to do, it is dark at 6 o'clock.
Well, that's another thing.
So what we
Now we're
need to do
getting
is
into.
come up with the hours that needs to be shut off. Is it 10 in the summer, is it 9? I think you're right, that maybe they don't need it so much just now, but I think it would be nice if they had somewhere
Well,
to
it's like
go.
the skate park, didn't they raise the money for that? They didn't come out of taxpayer.
I would talk to Tracy and see if he would be willing to be the overseer or the controller or whatever. When it's closed, he says go home.
Yeah.
I'd say twofold is certainly in the case of the summer, which I agree, but in the summer, then we don't need the lights. So there would be no power usage at that time. If there's a time, and I think it has to be an investment with the town and the kids, lest we forget why it doesn't work in the first place.
Yes, if they don't have a vested interest in it, then they're not gonna take care of it. Okay, where are we?
Other business.
Other business, there's one other business that I was asked to make an announcement. The high school ad hoc committee met on May 17th, and they voted that it was not feasible to open the high school at this time. The vote was unanimous. There will be a full report to follow, which will be available for people to come read up at the town office when the chairman of the ad hoc committee finishes it. That's all I have for other business.
First of all, the airport, the building is here and it's on the lot. Actually, it's probably all done now, so I'm gonna stop and look at it on my way home. The building is there.
She's gonna take a little ride in the plane.
I was just like sleeping it tonight. But, that's exciting and the electrical components will be hooked up now that the building is there. So, I have a second thing, the monument lot, there's a tree, if you remember right, we talked about when we renewed the monument CD, we set aside $1,000 out of it, so to be able to take down a tree that's ailing in the back, it's dangerous, it's past its time.
We didn't take that down? or
No,
this is the second
we
tree?
didn't. This is, right,
This is the
this
tree
is
from
the
3 years
tree
ago.
that, well, it hasn't been done yet, this isn't
Oh, really?
done, right.
No, that needs
But
to
I
be
do
done.
have someone that's gonna do it, we just have to wait for them to be able to get it done. The bid went to Russell Wright.
Oh, okay.
In conversation today with one of the major complainants of the tree, I was telling him a status update of we were waiting for it to get taken down and how much it was costing. He says that there is another tree that is also equally bad and dangerous
On monument,
on the monument. He would like to donate $800 to take that tree down as well. I'm not saying that it needs to be taken down, I don't know yet, I'm gonna get the same person's opinion of the tree. I'm not an arborist,
And
but
an arborist to look at it to see if it really needs to be taken down.
I'm just throwing that out there with you, that conversation was had today, and you can accept donations, but I'll keep you in the loop when the story unfolds even more, so I'll update you later.
We'll certainly make sure that the tree that's about ready to fall is taken down.
I am trying.
So I think we need
Maybe
to like,
somebody would donate a couple more trees to put in its place.
Right, yeah, that's a good idea, to plant new ones.
is that it?
That's it from me.
Committee updates, Joanne?
June 25th, down East DMS at 4 o'clock, Medibank Hall. And they had a spaghetti feed for all the EMS workers and firemen, and that turned out really well. Great.
Revolving loan, June 12th?
It's all, it's election day.
Oh, did
I
we
don't-
move it?
I don't think we did. I think you're just gonna move, you're gonna meet up there or in the office.
Oh, that's right,
in the office.
yes, yes.
Shellfish Committee is 6 o'clock on June 4th. And Safe Harbor is June 28th at 5 o'clock.
Isn't there another, conservation hours?
And there is, yes, there's conservation hours on June 23rd at 12:30 at Huckins Beach. And it's going to be bring your bucket and your clam hack.
Will that be the final conservation outing?
That is the final conservation outing. And rain date is the 24th at 1:30. It's for 4 hours each day. And then the clam licenses go on sale July 2nd. July 1st is a Sunday. So we will tell the clam warden not to ticket anyone on that July 1st.
I guess I'll quickly add too that, because multiple were here, but the marijuana committee will sort of be meeting, I guess as it were, on June 13th, 5 o'clock.
That's right. Public comment.
Excuse me, I have recycle.
Oh, okay.
Recycle meeting is on June the 8th at 4 o'clock. Economic development will be on the 27th at 5. Oh, wait a minute, is marijuana gonna meet again that day?
No.
No.
Oh, I don't know. Let's take it by.
We'll do it on the
The
27th.
recycling should be a short meeting though, because there's no train.
Bruce.
One of my pet projects. Spoke with Renee a couple of weeks ago, I guess someplace. One of my thoughts was that how are we doing on finding somebody to forestall Mother Nature from taking over the roads? In other words, doing the road mowing on the side of the road.
We didn't receive a bid from this. We haven't,
As I mentioned to
we
you,
opened bids 2 weeks ago, but none was submitted for that.
Did we read
as I mentioned to you, grew up in farm country, so I have a pretty good idea in regard to what road removers are, sickle down mowers, and flail type mowers. None of them are land leveling design. And as we all know, the town kind of made some messes up on some of the roads, north of the back road especially, where there's a furrow that's this high. It needs to be flattened out, because I'll tell you, if I had the desire and the itch to go out and mow the sides of the road to look at, I would say no way. I need to get those guys out there that smooth that stuff out, please.
Anyone has a pothole or a little problem with any of the 36 miles of road we have, please feel free to come into the town office and fill out a form, and our road commissioner will take care of that. That would be Renee. But it's really good to have paperwork
Except
involved.
for
with it.
189, and that's not our responsibility.
Pardon me?
189.
Well, except for 189, which is not our responsibility. That's
I don't think we've
DOT's.
met since the kids cleaned up the town.
They did an excellent
They
job.
did a great job. They did a great job.
They did.
Big truckload, I think at least one big truckload of garbage was
I brought up
collected.
5 truckloads.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, it was a good
My-
job. Yes, Michael.
Thank you to the Public Works for hosting the, showing off their new building and sand,
Yes,
facility. That's
yes.
a nice
That was
facility we
nice.
have there.
Yeah. It's just too bad that only, 5 of us were there.
Well,
Yes.
10 hot dogs each.
I realize it was a Friday and with other activities. but-
Yes,
It was
Yeah,
very
it was
one of the
busy,
first
yeah.
nice
We've
days.
got the leftover hot dogs.
Those,
The road commission, you know.
5 truckloads were from the
That's
kids that I brought up, were
Yeah.
from the little, they did a really good job.
And thank you to No So Rubbish who
Yeah.
donated the dumpster, and George Baker also was picking up bags that had been collected.
Yeah.
On his own, so.
The uneaten hot dogs were left at
The mowing.
at the mowing crew, and anyone who worked on the roads and whatever, we weren't gonna bring them back up here. There wasn't that many, there was, I don't know, 20 hot dogs maybe. They only bought 50, and there was 10 times how many, 20 was at least 20 or 30 we're eating, right? How many did you have,
I had
Joanne?
You had two.
I had two, I probably had 3, because she didn't see the last one I ate. Oh, well, if there are no further public comment, we will close the meeting. Motion to adjourn? All in favor? What?
Can I have a copy of the
Thank you.
CDBG?